All right, everyone, it's time to negotiate now for the best deal on the market. Welcome back, everyone, to today's episode, another market update. We are specifically talking about real estate data for Arizona, and in this episode, I'm gonna show you some information about the active listing amount as well as the demand of the buyer on the current market. And we're going to draw a conclusion on how we're going to negotiate to get the best deal on the market in today's episode. All right, let's dive right into the information. In front of you right here is the number of active listing on the market. As of today, we have about 15,788 active listing on the market. As you see here, this is the highest level of active listing for the last 4 years, right? This is 2024 here, 2023, 2022, 2021, and 2020. This is the highest level, even though it's still less than the highest level of 2022. But as you see, is on the progress of moving toward that. So if nothing changed as of today current market, there's gonna be a really high chance that the number of active listing gonna surpass the highest listing amount in 2022. And some of you may ask why. Right? We're going to answer the why as you see in the next couple of slides. But for now, just remember the situation that the active listing on the market has been increasing since the beginning of the year. All right. What about the demands? Okay, to be able to talk about the demands. Oh, by the way, this one represents the supply of housings on the current market. Okay, this is supplying. So we know that supplying is increasing. All right. What about the demand? Okay, under contract listing represent the demand because when a buyer want to buy a house, they have to go into the contract, right? So under contract shows the demand, how many buyers are willing to put a house under a contract. So right now is 8,777. All right. So oops, sorry. No, the number one, this is a good thing that is still it's going up, right? It's still trending up toward the as from the beginning of the year to now. The bad news, however, is that as you see here, number one is the lowest of the demand level compared to the previous 3 years. Okay, and if we follow this trend, the going upward is just a seasonal thing. The seasonal in Arizona, right? At the very a lot of demand is hot to at the beginning of the year, and toward the end of the year, it's gonna start dropping. As you see here, for the last 3 years, it has the same situation. So we can predict that it's actually toward the end of the year, it's going to be even lower. All right. So we have two situations now is that one is the supply going higher, and the number two is the demand potentially forecast to be going lower. All right. So keep that in mind. And here's the slide that we're going to explain why that is the case. Interest rate. All right, everything comes down to interest rate because that is the number one expense, the big expense that the buyer has in today's markets. And as you see here, it has been really good for a while since March of 2021. Now when I say good, it means like stabilized, right, around 7.55%. And all of a sudden it's go back up again in the beginning of April, and as of today is already 7.89%. Now this is just under some assumption here. Okay, loan amount of 300, down payment of 20. This is a really good down payment, and the credit score right here is an average credit score, right? Of course, if you have lower credit score, you're gonna get even higher interest rate. But interest rate is keep raising at the high level, make the demand drop tremendously. Okay, which keep a lot of people don't want to pursue forward because of the high expense in today's market, and therefore a lot of people don't want to sell neither because they cannot buy the house. They cannot buy another house. They cannot justify, for example, in my neighborhood, on average, when all 27 of us bought a house, it's gonna be around like 450, 500, right? For this type of home. But then if any one of us want to buy a house right now, they have to pay 7 or 800 to be able to get the same similar house. Plus, they have to pay at a higher interest rate, and therefore it's not financial justifiable to them. Right? Therefore, there's not a lot of seller is encouraged to buy in this today market, as unless they have to move, all right? Unless they have to move per job, unless they have to move because they want to hire the number of bedrooms, or they want to downsize, upsize, depend on the situation, right? So the number of supply for that reason drop. Okay, so what is the suggestion for the buyer? Okay, what is the suggestion for the buyer? I would say that as an investor today, because we have a high supply on the market and a low demand, this is the ideal time to negotiate. Okay, this is an ideal time to negotiate. And where do we get those information? Right, we get those from a long days on market, as well as the seller is in the distress situation. Okay, the both conditions have to met. Okay, because even though if a house is long on the market, and if they are not in a distress situation, right, then we not be able to find out we not be able to put that pressure onto the seller. So some of you may ask, how do we get into those distress situations? Because the long days on the market, we can see that on Zillow, we can see that on Realtor.com, we can see that in a lot of websites on MLS, right? But how do we know the distress situation? Here's a secret: by talking. By talking. We represent a lot of buyers on today's market. My expertise is to talk with the listing agents to find out the seller's unique situation, and therefore be able to negotiate, be able to find out the information that we can use to negotiate for the best deal on the market for the buyer. Some of the example that I can have is, look at this, $125,000 off the price. Okay, even this deal right here, $60,000 less than asking, and even during inspection, we are able to negotiate another 11,000 more in seller repair credit. Okay, so that's the total of 71,000 credit that the seller offer. Is with the simple negotiation strategy, with the simple talking, having the right conversation, getting to know the seller and getting to know the situation. So investor buyer, be prepared. This is the time that instead of stopping fighting for deals, I think, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't see the whole thing. Okay, the under contract for 125,000 here less, right? And then this is 71,000 here, right? So investor buyer, this is the time that you should negotiate rather than draw back and not doing anything. A lot of investors told me that, oh, I should wait for the market. Until when? The question is when. We never know when the market gonna react to our favor, right? So instead of waiting for the market, I would say just find a deal, find a house that you want, and we can work on the number that you want. Okay, rather than waiting for the market to drop to that number, because you never know. You never know a situation that the seller is willing to accept. I have a contract at for 375. Okay. The house just listed for 21 days, so it's not too long for the market, right? So I feel like at that time, we shouldn't negotiate, because normally I wouldn't negotiate for the house that more than 30 days. So let's wait for another 8 days, right? The buyer, I have to learn from that buyer too. The buyer is encouraged by the family member and talk to me, and therefore we make the deal. Right? Therefore, I talk to the listing agent, finding out the information that they need, right? Give them that information, but we get the good deals, $25,000 less than, $35,000 less than asking. With only 21 days on the market, right? So as long as we have the conversation between the listing agents and the buyer, but the buyer agents, if you have someone who represents you, investor buyer, talk to the listing agent, and you're gonna be able to get the good deal on the market. As for the seller market, okay, as for the seller, my recommendation is you have to price reasonably, okay, and prepare the house, okay. You are not in a situation that you have a lot of negotiation power anymore back in the day, right? So you have to prepare the house, price reasonably. My experience is that if you are having a house that within the price range of 400 to 500, it's super easy to sell. But if it is outside that range, you have to do a lot of work. And sometimes maybe it is the best idea to not selling your house. Maybe discuss some strategies, some options to do long-term rental, short-term rental, mid-term rental to get you some income while waiting for the market. This is situation we have to wait for the market, right? Because we cannot sell. Okay, some situation we cannot sell. Then we have to be proactive and come up with a plan to deal with the situation, and perhaps selling is not the best option for you neither. Okay, so those are my suggestions for today's market. Thank you so much everyone for watching. If you do have any questions regarding the real estate market in Arizona, feel free to let me know, DM me or text me directly. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.